Hey, what's up guys, aarava here, and welcome back to another episode of my F1 22 My Team Career Mode. This is episode number 105 today for the Miami Grand Prix in Season 7. If you guys did miss the previous one at the Bahrain Grand Prix, then be sure to go check that one out before you see this one, because that was a chaotic one, to say the least. We had 9 DNFs in that and 1 disqualification, as there was all sorts of pandemonium through that Grand Prix, and a lot of it was attracted around us. We were like a magnet for chaos, as we had, a pile-up happening right behind us as Sainz hit our rear wing. We then ourselves had a problem with our own stability of the car. All weekend, the car didn't seem that stable and very stiff on the suspension around Bahrain, and that caused us to spin in Sector 2 out of nowhere as the curb spat us out, and we had an almighty collision with, unfortunately, Piastri, who was doing quite well at the time, and a load of other cars. We had a puncture, rear diffuser damage, and a hobbled along to get P6 in the end. To be fair, quite a good recovery, but all was not well on the other side of the garage, of course, as Lewis Hamilton had his second DNF of this season as he returns to Formula 1. He's not scored a point yet as his engine failed him, and that will be a concern for us as well, of course, with an R&D reset. Durability did get reset. We did actually adapt all the parts for durability, but, you're always going to get a little bit of unreliability at the start of the season, but it seems to all be all focused right now at the moment on Lewis's car. But that's going to be make us a little bit nervous maybe going to Miami. Of course, this time last season at the Miami GP, our race ended early after 5 laps with an engine failure for our Ferrari car. Of course, now back in our own team with the Honda power in the back, so hoping we can miss that out, because Miami was a really great race actually with maxed out cars in Season 5, I remember, and I was looking forward to a pretty good race last season, and we just didn't get a chance to finish it and actually go for the win, it seemed, that time out. So we'll see how we go this time round, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of a competitive car going into Miami, because we do make some upgrades now on the aero side of things with 2 DRS upgrades, so that tangibly in the race is going to help myself and Lewis, as the DRS will be way more effective in terms of the traffic and trying to break through any kind of cars and make overtakes. And then also we've got some brake upgrades going on, which could definitely help Hamilton. One of the late breakers, Lewis Hamilton, so hopefully that might aid him out. But that's going to get us hopefully competitive and get us back in the frame, fighting for top positions maybe, and able to have a go at the likes of, Audi, Porsche, Williams, Repsol, Haas, and also Vettel Rennsport, of course, who took victory last time at Bahrain with Mick Schumacher. Miami's been a bit of an odd circuit for us, not too quick over 1 lap it seems a lot of the time, but in the race speeding things up as we get nearly blocked by our own teammate Lewis Hamilton as he was exiting the pit lane awkwardly into the racing line as we start our first flying lap, and that is going to be P4, 1/10 off Leclerc at the moment, but I think that should get us through. Yes, it will, into the next part of qualifying in P8. Hamilton makes it through as well, although he only just made it through, kind of having one of my qualifying sessions around here where he's very slow in the first part, and hopefully for his sake, like we have done many times in qualifying in this series, speeding up a little bit into Q2 and Q3. But Repsol Haas, one of the American teams, looking strong at the moment with Piastri up there in P1. Of course, we've got 2 American teams, Repsol Haas and Andretti Honda. Both will be hoping to put on a show for the home crowd. But you're going to have your usual suspects up there. Lando Norris in the Audi, both Gulf Porsche Williams cars, I suspect, and the Vettel Rennsports of Dragovic and Schumacher. And it's about, where can we place in that? Can we get through into the top 10? Myself and Lewis, both of us managed it at Bahrain, to my surprise. And now we've come to Miami with a better car in theory, with the DRS upgrade and the brakes upgrade. So we should hopefully both be aiming for that top 10 and looking to, cause disappointment for maybe other teams who did get ahead of us at Melbourne in the first round. So you've been seeing us catching up to Ricciardo on our second flying lap. To be fair, the Red Bull Ford will give me a bit of a tow as we go purple with an insane lap time in Q2 to get us right up there in second place. Was not expecting that. And so that is looking pretty promising. Hamilton P5, I think these upgrades have really made that much of a difference here. Things are pretty damn close, of course, in this grid with the grid spread. So a couple upgrades like that will actually make all the difference. So that's really good news for us. Both Vettel Rennsport cars through. One Red Bull of Liam Lawson gets through ahead of his more senior teammate Riccardo. Magnussen is the big shock name out here, along with Carlos Sainz, I guess, but he's been pretty poor for Audi all season long since the get-go. But Magnussen's a big blow. He's been the more consistent Williams car, but Leclerc did manage to get some points on the board finally at Bahrain, get that podium, so maybe that has just swung things in his favour in that teammate battle over at Williams. But yeah, so Magnussen's going to have to really try and recover quite well in the race tomorrow. But that gives us now a bit more opportunity maybe to go even further up the order on the grid. Let's see how we do on the first flying lap. This is a scrub set of tyres, so the lap time's not going to be great because it was the same tyre I used in Q1, and it's not great. It's only P8. I believe Hamilton, well, you can see on the top left, he must be up into the top 5 right now. So Hamilton digging deep and coming back from the hurdles he's had to face in the first 2 rounds, looking mighty fine maybe with these brake upgrades helping him. We go across the line. We gain nearly just under 4/10 of a second. Purple second sector, and yet that was only good enough for P8. Just showing how strong the others are in sectors 1 and 3. We need to do better in those 2 sectors. Sector 2 was pretty strong, but not strong enough. And oh my days, what a performance from Hamilton to be on the front row. I mean, Leclerc did even better, 2/10 clear on pole position for Gulf Porsche Williams. So he's going from strength to strength, taking some, solace from getting that first podium and points on the board at Bahrain. But Hamilton, what a response from the 8-time world champion in this alternate F1 universe of ours. What a response that is from 2 DNFs in a row to be up there on the front row ahead of Mick Schumacher. Piastri does very well in the Haas to be in P4, and the man who's had all the pace in the world so far this season, Lando Norris, struggling a bit, down in P5. Sainz got knocked out, so maybe Audi, their car just doesn't suit this circuit as much. And, Tsunoda, you got to shout him out in Andretti in P6. So it's a really great day in the office, actually, for both American teams. Dragovic will be disappointed, as am I, to be down in P8 and P9 compared to our teammates in P2 and 3, respectively. But we've got work to do in the race. But, remember back to when we won the Miami GP in Season 5, we got knocked out in Q2 then. So Miami's a very weird one for me. I'm really not great over 1 lap, but in the race, it seems with the tyre wear levels as well, we're able to really control that versus the AI. So can take some solace in that. Hopefully they can come back stronger in the race tomorrow. So let's go to the full grid and see how things shake out.
Formula One has arrived in the Sunshine State for spectacular sunsets, gentle breezes, warm waters, and for what will be a fantastic race day here at the Miami International Autodrome. A lap of the Miami Grand Prix features 3.36 miles of track around the Hard Rock Stadium, and 19 corners make up the Miami International Autodrome, which will challenge the drivers in a tight wheel-to-wheel race. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Charles Leclerc lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri, Yuki Tsunoda, and Hülkenberg. Dragovic, the owner driver, Liam Lawson, and George Russell. Ricciardo, Albon, Carlos Sainz, and Magnussen. Norris, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Sargent, Robert Schwartzman, and Fernando Alonso. Verstappen, Gasly, Perez, and Théo Pourchaire. Now it's almost time for lights out, so let's go down to the track. And joining me for today's race once again is Anthony Davidson. Let's discuss Red Bull. We have a number of changes to the aerodynamic regulations this year, and the signs haven't looked good for them so far in terms of getting to grips with those changes.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
So we maybe have some answers of why Lando Norris wasn't looking too quick for Audi as he did in the first 2 rounds, because he's taken an engine penalty. So perhaps he was driving around on Saturday with some worn components and they've decided to take that penalty to try and boost his performance in the race. But either way, it means him and Sainz are looking to recover for for Audi, the lead constructors from both outside the top 10, and this gives a bit more of a chance then to other drivers to shine, and a chance maybe for a new race winner this season. I mean, Mick Schumacher's up there though, but Hamilton is on the front row alongside Leclerc. I'm really hoping he can pull up his socks and really show what he's made of in this race. He did yesterday, so he's just got to do the second half today. And for us, his qualifying performance gives us a bit of confidence that we can have the pace to be right up there and maybe fight for this race win today. It's a tight grid. We've chosen the medium tyre to go longer in the first part of the race. Let's see how this shakes out as we go to 5 red lights, and we're underway for the US GP here in Miami. It's a good start for us versus Drugovich. 3 wide nearly between Piastri, Tsunoda, Hulkenberg. Piastri has had a fantastic first sequence of corners. I think he's up into P2. Hamilton down to 3rd as we overtake the Brazilian. Try to get Hulkenberg as well, but just couldn't make it work. He's on the soft compounder tyre, so he's got a bit more grip in his car at the moment as Drugovich desperately tries to get his nose in to keep it side by side through that section as we go through the marina area to the back straight, the winding curves of this straight, I guess you could say. But Leclerc leads the way from that pole position he secured yesterday. But Piastri, he's had a lightning start in the Repsol Haas, the American team going for the lead of the race at the USGP. Piastri on the inside, Leclerc gets the elbows out, denies the home crowd of some euphoria early on in this race, and he has to settle for second place. Piastri does. Hamilton still keeping there in 3rd place ahead of Mick Schumacher, last race's race winner. Tsunoda doing well for Andretti in P5, Hulkenberg, myself P7 still just about. You saw Drugovich had another nip at the heels, and he's going to do that again because that Vettel Rennsport car seems to be pretty damn quick in a straight line, and he's there on the inside. We give him a bit of a squeeze, go back to the racing line. He's actually overtaken us technically into the final corner, but we have the better run out the final bend to re-overtake him, get up back into P7, and now I need to get my head down to try and close up to Hulkenberg, who on the soft tyres probably will be looking to get Tsunoda. Yes, he will. And so can we try and maybe follow him through maybe, because he's going to want to make the most of that soft compounder tyre. But Hulkenberg and Tsunoda make contact. A little bit of smoke coming off the side pod of Tsunoda as I think tyres started to rub, and he stays ahead in P5 just about, the Japanese driver does. But Hulkenberg really trying to make the most of these soft compounder tyres. Someone else who's done exactly that is Kevin Magnussen. Remember, knocked out in Q2, was down in like P14. He's now up into P8, so Magnussen flying and showing that the Gulf Porsche Williams really does have some great pace today, and that's going to be promising for Leclerc as we just continue to watch this same battle between Hulkenberg and Tsunoda. I'm just waiting for the right moment. Hulkenberg's finally got Tsunoda fully. Now can we pounce on the Andretti car, get down the inside of not only 1 but even maybe 2 as we actually go for it. Wasn't planning on trying to overtake Hulkenberg, but he actually just had such a poor entry into turn 1. He left the door open and we've just walked right through it as we set the fast lap of the Grand Prix early on lap 3, and we're up into P5 now with a bit of clean air to chase after Mick Schumacher, who himself is chasing after my teammate Lewis Hamilton. So it doesn't look like at the moment Lewis may be able to keep up with the top 2, 1.2 seconds the gap, but can he defend against Schumacher and remain on for a podium in this early stage of the race? He's going to try and come back at him. Schumacher did get it down the inside nicely, but Hamilton does defend and shows a bit of fight, and maybe he's finally getting a bit confident with this car in race terms as he remains in 3rd place, and he's actually defended and held up Schumacher so much that now I've joined the party. And you know, Piastri and Leclerc, they're only just down the road, so the race is on. We could be fighting for the win eventually if we can get past these 2 guys. That's going to be easier said than done because Schumacher again is going up against Hamilton. Hamilton locks up though. No, those brake upgrades that were working up till then, and now Lewis has overcooked it and he's down to P5. We're up into P4 and it's our turn to have a go at Schumacher and get into that 3rd place position. Schumacher holds his racing line, and that's fine for us because we'll go down the inside. Then he's going to really give us a good old squeeze. We'll give him a squeeze back to get up into P3, and now we'll leave him alone. Hopefully Hamilton can have a go at him, and we're going to focus on chasing after Piastri and Leclerc as we set another fast lap of the Grand Prix on lap 9 now. We've flown by this first stint because we will be coming in around, I would say, lap 13 to 14 for the hard compound tyre. But lap 10, the action is coming thick and fast up here at the sharp end because Piastri is looking to have a go at Leclerc, putting him under pressure. Leclerc locks up. He feels that pressure, and Piastri might be through. No, the two are side by side through the long kind of triple right-hander, if you will, or long right-hander into now the Mickey Mouse section as they go left and right. But Piastri is through. Piastri leads the way in the Repsol Haas. The American team leads the USGP. The crowd are going to be loving that. But will Leclerc come back at him? DRS very long straight down this one into the final corner. Piastri defensive. Leclerc pulls through on the outside. Very slow stuff as they both try and slow it down and try to give each other enough room. Leclerc on the outside to the inside for the next right-hander as they cross the line for a new lap. Leclerc takes the lead back. Piastri down to P2. But as we now get ever closer, Piastri's not giving up. He goes down the inside. He's locked up and he's made contact with Leclerc. Bit of front wing damage there from the Australian. That was a poor mistake, and we've somehow just managed to actually sail our way through into P2 in a very difficult place to make an overtake. But that's because of that front wing damage the Haas had. He just had no turning on the right-hander, so we were able to get down the inside. But that's a poor mistake from Piastri. But it's good news for us because now we can have a go at Leclerc. He's defenseless. We've got DRS, but he's going to robustly defend the inside. So we're going to go to the outside, the racing line, trying to go round the outside. Leclerc hits us. Leclerc turns out into us, and we've broken our wing. We couldn't get the turn in, so we broke it even further. We got no front wing on our car, so we absolutely have to pit. There was maybe half a chance of continuing if we just sustained that first bit of damage, but I had so much understeer after being hit by Leclerc that we just couldn't turn the car. And it's actually almost deja vu from last season. Remember, Leclerc and Russell as Mercedes teammates. Leclerc took Russell wide at that very corner, put them both out of the whole race. So Leclerc not really learning from his mistakes from last season. I don't know what that was. He just turned into us. I gave him plenty of room because we went all the way to the right-hand side of the circuit, the racing line, and there is plenty of room to go side by side, as he and Piastri showed before. But no, for whatever reason, he's just got a bit flustered, maybe a little bit anxious of losing the lead, and has been a bit desperate there with the turnout. We just got to get on with it though, and to be fair, if there was going to be any lap to have that kind of contact, it would have been around then, because we were due a pit stop anyway within a lap or two, so we've just had to come in earlier basically and lose a bit of time in the pits changing the front wing. So I hope we can maybe come back at Leclerc eventually. But look at this, 3 wide into turn 1. Verstappen is going to get overtaken by both Magnussen and Hülkenberg in the Williams and the Haas, and now Piastri joins the party, and that's the reason why we're focusing on this fight, because it does matter to myself and Piastri, because we're both catching this whole train of cars. Verstappen, the real slow one in a dog of a Ferrari in this season, very different Ferrari to the one we drove with him last season. Verstappen so slow and holding up Piastri so much, we just dance around him like he wasn't even there. Piastri just gets held up to an absolute point by the Ferrari, and now can we do what he couldn't and overtake Verstappen and get up into P10 and have that track position then with a bit of clean air, because I don't think we'll catch Hülkenberg or Magnussen by the time they come into the pit. We get Verstappen, went a little bit deep there, but we managed to hold it through. But yeah, I imagine Hülkenberg and Magnussen will come in. Yeah, they will. They do come in straight away on the next lap, so we do have a good amount of clean air and a bit of an undercut maybe on the hards. But Tsunoda comes out ahead of us, and he was way behind Leclerc, so we have lost quite a fair bit in this entire race. But can we overtake Tsunoda straight away? This is going to be great wheel-to-wheel racing. Safety car is out, and we just about got Tsunoda. He kind of gave up the position a little bit as the yellow flags came out, but the safety car is out, so that is going to change everything, because I'm now wondering, do we pit again, free pit stop, go for another set of mediums, because we do have a new set of mediums available, and everyone, well, apart from Magnus and Hülkenberg, but everyone else who I'm racing and was racing at the front, they're all on hards. I know how slow the hard tyres are to rubber in and just how generally slow they are around this circuit. I reckon I fancy myself on the medium. So this is a bit of a gamble because we were going to get track position of P3 or 4 in this race, but we've just pit from there to go outside the top 10 to get a brand spanking new set of medium tyres. But I reckon we're going to have so much pace difference compared to all the hard tyre runners who have stayed out under the safety car that we can come back through. And, you know, the first stint showed we did have some genuine quick pace on the mediums, and now we have a tyre advantage with those mediums strapped on. Hulkenberg came in with us because, actually, my apologies, made a mistake. Hulkenberg and Magnussen didn't actually come in as we went on to that new lap before the safety car came out, so Hulkenberg actually chose wisely to come in under the safety car and get his free pit stop, but he's gone on to another set of mediums, so I think he has to pit again, and Magnussen stayed out on those same mediums. So some very odd choices being made by some of the drivers out here today, but for me, it may seem like from the outside an on choice for myself, but I have confidence in my own strategy, so I'm sure they will have confidence in their strategies. But we get Hulkenberg with a dive on the inside because we don't have time to dawdle. We really need to be pouncing on these guys, especially those on the hard compounder tyres. We need to be getting them straight away. Might be a harder fight for those on mediums still. You know, Sargent, I think Magnussen still on the mediums ahead of us, but we're going to dive down the inside of Albon in the Mercedes. Easy work for us as we just have that overwhelming grip on these mediums. We're going to catch up to Logan Sargent, who I'm not too sure if he's made a pit stop yet or not, but he's doing quite well for Andretti right now in the top 10. His teammate even one better because I believe Tsunoda's up there in the top 5, but we're going to absolutely dummy Sargent by going to the right, then going to the left and getting that done down the inside. And now we find ourselves closing up to Lando Norris, the championship leader, the man who's looked so strong this season. He's found himself a little bit, you know, stuck in the traffic here, and on hard compounder tyres, having a bit of a wobble on the rear end, and that invites us in to make a pretty sweet overtake into the Marina section, up into P9. You saw there, as we enter that section, his rear end just snapped, and so we just timed that racing line to perfection with the ERS usage as well. And now we're going to try and get Ricciardo, who swipes across us a little bit as the racing line comes towards the wall on the right. He's on the inside, we're on the outside, but it's fine. Surely we have the gripped out braking. Ricciardo does pretty damn well, though, on the brakes to try and stick in there, but we are going to get the move done up into P8, and now Piastri will be the next one along. So we've already caught back up to Oscar. He pit with us originally, and then we pit a second time for the mediums, and we've already now caught up and overtaken him round the outside at turn 1. Very unorthodox overtake, but that is the biggest example of why this gamble might just pay off for us, because it was so easy to close back up to him because of how quick the mediums are versus the hard. And now ahead of us is Carlos Sainz in the second Audi. Hamilton in P5, doing well in this second phase of the race. Only 8 laps to go. Top 5 position would be great, but Hamilton has slowed up Sainz, and we're going to sail through for the double pass. We get Sainz, we get Hamilton. He leaves the door open, and that's actually a great bit of teamwork there, to be fair, because remember, at Bahrain, we helped Hamilton have a go at Russell, so I think that's a bit of him repaying the favour as he slows up Sainz, and we just get the move done on both of them in one section of the circuit, and we are flying now in that clean air that Hamilton's allowed us to be in, and we've caught right up to Tsunoda, lap 23 now, and look at this grip difference of the mediums versus the hards on the outside of that long right-hander. That's ridiculous, and this is why now, as the laps go on, as the overtakes get made, we're getting more and more confident that this was the 100% correct decision. Maybe even from the get-go a 2-stop would have been quicker, but with the free pit stop, that is definitely the case. But you can also see we are now facing some tyre wear. That was a pretty damn good save, if I do say so myself. We had to soar away left twice through that right-hander to keep the car going in a straight line and going the right way. So that was a little bit of a scare, so we need to be careful as we do close up to cars ahead of us and hopefully chase after Leclerc and Schumacher, who, by the way, Schumacher's leading this race now at the moment, so the German has overtaken Leclerc at some point in the pit stops maybe, as we go and overtake Leclerc's teammate Magnussen. Doesn't make it easy for us with some good defense at the inside, really tightened up our line there, but we're Renault just able to find the grip as we keep going now. 2.5 to Leclerc and Schumacher, and by lap 27 now, so 2 and a bit laps to go, we've closed up to Leclerc, who's still trying to maybe retake the lead of this race, and he's going to go for it now. Contact made between the Williams and the Vettel Rennsport car. No damage on Leclerc's car, unlike when Piastri did a very similar move to Leclerc, so he can live to fight another day, but it's getting pretty damn frosty now. Schumacher trying to go for back-to-back wins. Leclerc trying to go for his first ever win this season and for his brand new team at Gulf Porsche Williams. And of course, I'm going for my first win, back racing for my own team here today. Lap 27 on to 28, 2 laps to go. Leclerc on the outside. It's all looking pretty pedestrian because it's so slow through these last 2 corners to slow it down and get the car turned. But Leclerc's there. He's got the run. And now can we have a run? Follow him through maybe. Get the DRS open. Get in the toe. Die down the inside. We're not going to get Leclerc like we did with that Hulkenberg move earlier. But we will get the German. And we're up into P2 now. So this is looking very, very good for us because Leclerc is struggling a bit. But now we need to watch our tyres as well, because although Leclerc's rear end was twitching there a little bit on that onboard, look at my heads-up display on the bottom right. Brick orange on the tyre indicator, so that means these mediums are going off. You can see we're getting to about 60% wear on some of the fronts and even the rears, so we need to watch out. The traction's going to be a bit an issue out this corner. The AI are so good out this corner. Look at the amount of speed Leclerc gains versus us, but we are going to have DRS on him, so as we barrel towards the last 2 corners and on towards the last lap of the Grand Prix, can we overtake Leclerc? We're going to repay the favour that he did to us and go to the inside, go a bit deep on purpose, but unlike him, we don't take him out, we don't make contact with him, and we have a clean overtake to get up into first place. As you saw there was a flash of a warning for Lando Norris. He's out of the race, so the championship leader in the Audi is out of this one, scoring 0 points. Schumacher just tried to re-overtake me though. He's overtaking Leclerc. He went for the double pass into the first turn of the last lap, so Schumacher is not going down without a fight. Yellow flags though in this first sector because Lando Norris's Audi is stricken on the left-hand side, so he's out. 0 points for him, and that's a massive open goal for all of us to close up to the championship leader going into this race. And coming out of this race, it may well be Mick Schumacher, but is he going to do it with a win or second place as he is now, or maybe even third, because Leclerc's actually lurking about with DRS. Schumacher has DRS on me, but we go defensive and we have enough speed right there to maintain first place. But the worry is the next straight into the final corner. Meanwhile, Tsunoda, let's just have a bit of applause for him in P4 in the Andretti. What an amazing result for Andretti, the lead US team, of course, with Repsol Haas down in P6 and 7, Hamilton in a top 5 position. Some great stories today, but the biggest one could be us trying to win this race. We're weaving about. We've made our 2 moves to go defensive. We've stuck to the racing line to take the outside line for the last corner. Schumacher's down the inside momentarily, takes the lead, but by a whisker we get it back. We're trying to find the traction nearly off circuit, but we're able to wrestle the car into some semblance in a straight line and get it across the line just about to take the victory at the Miami GP. Come on, it's the first win back for our team in AAR since that season we left for Ferrari, and that is a really great one from what was it P8 on the grid, damage as well, great stuff.
A hard-fought win today then, after a very difficult race. Tell me, Ant, how do you think they were able to deliver such an incredible result today?
Well, when you overtake that many people, I'd certainly hope you'd win the race. Their car was really effective in the slipstream here today, and the team will be pleased that they didn't cook the engine, given how long they were spending in the hot air behind other cars. They had a lot of confidence to push their tyres hard as well, especially going into the corners, which allowed for some late braking and some exciting passes.
Well, what a thrilling end to an incredible Grand Prix weekend. Our top 3 finishers should be incredibly happy with what they were able to achieve out there today.
So the gamble for the free pit stop under the safety car onto mediums has worked absolute wonders. To be fair, I think in this race, you know, a 2-stop did look pretty quick, but with the free pit stop added into that 2-stop, it was just ungodly because we just had, well, we didn't lose as much time basically making that second pit stop, and so we were so much closer and able to use the tyre to good use, just about. The tyres were really wearing out on the last lap. You know, if the race was any longer, I very much probably would have started to fall off the cliff and may have lost the lead. We almost did, really, into the last corner, so just about held it through, held our nerve to take the first win of the season. Schumacher, though, does take the lead of the championship because Norris did score 0 points. So even though Audi changed his components this race, he still had a failure. So that's going to be a bit of a worry for Audi as Lando's down to second place. We catapult ourselves up to third. Leclerc now gets ahead of Drugovich and Magnussen as he really gets his season going with 2 back-to-back podiums and 30 points on the board. Drugovich with a slow race. He actually had an issue that entire race, so that's why he wasn't really anywhere near Schumacher. And Magnussen, although he tried to recover, I think he had a 2-stop in the end, and that brought him down the order. But Vettel Rennsport, thanks to Schumacher's consistency from the last race win to this episode, take the lead of the constructors. But with ourselves getting that win, and for Hamilton getting a P5, that's very, very solid for Lewis. That P5 is a big 10 points of confidence booster. That gets us up into second place in the constructors, so that's a bit more like it versus Audi, Williams, and Repsol Haas. Not too far off Andretti, you know, the 2 American teams are very close together, and Andretti might just, you know, be looking to take the lead as the lead US team maybe if they continue this kind of form. And Mercedes and Red Bull, although they've been quite fast in flashes, have not made the most of these races, whereas Andretti and Haas have in the last 2. But what a race win for us from P8 on the grid. A little bit of damage with Leclerc, of course, having to pit earlier with a broken front wing, pitting again for a second time under the safety car. Bit of a gamble, and it's worked out for us here in USA to take the first victory of the season. If you guys did enjoy that episode, hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.